would never date a Chinese girl because, you know, Chinese people are stingy. How's it going, guys? Back here with another video. Today we'll be talking about something really interesting. We'll be talking about interracial relationships. Of course, before we get started with the video, we want to say thank you to our sponsor, FnK Concept. Make sure to check them out on Shopee or Tada for cool products at reasonable prices. Okay, let's get started. So back in my first year at UBC, like my first term, I took this really cool class called Sexuality class. Well, the exact code is CSIS 200. I think it stands for Critical Studies in Sexuality 200. The instructor was really cool. I think it was LJ Slavin, their name. You should check them out. They're really cool. The course content, really cool. Readings were kind of heavy, but if you enjoy the material, it's really cool. Well, in this class though, while I enjoyed the content, I enjoyed the instructor, I felt that the atmosphere of the class was really, for lack of a better word, heavy. I feel that a lot of people in the class, well, most people in the class, they held really strong views and they were really adamant about their views. Well, I'm a person who's open to accepting ideas that are new and that are contrary to my own views, but oh my gosh, the extent to which they would push their views on you was really extreme. In my opinion, at least. Maybe it's because they have life experiences which have propelled them to hold such strong views, but I know, man, to me, it was really scary. And there was this one day when we were talking about interracial relationships and one of them just said, well, honestly, I don't get why people wouldn't date people of a different race. I mean, well, some people say, I wouldn't date a white guy, I wouldn't date a white girl, I wouldn't date a black guy, I wouldn't date an Asian guy. And in my opinion, these people are just racist and discriminatory. Well, isn't that an interesting thing to think about? I mean, if I have a preference when selecting a romantic partner, does that make me racist or discriminatory? I mean, if you think about the definition of discrimination, it means that you have a false perception and you would physically mistreat a group of people. Or, you know, you make generalizations about groups of people or types of people. I know, having a preference just does not mean that. It might, but in my case at least, it's not. If I have a preference for Chinese girls, does that mean I'm discriminating other girls? If I have a preference for white girls, does it mean I'm discriminating any other girls? I mean, maybe that's something for us to think about. Well, at that time, I was thinking like, maybe we should think about the motivation behind their preference. Maybe some people are actually racist. Maybe they actually think, I would never date a Chinese girl because, you know, Chinese people are stingy. But hey, who would know, right? There are always jerks in the world. Well, let's say their motivations actually stem from racist thoughts. But if they do not explicitly express the discrimination and racism toward Chinese girls, does that still make them racist? Well, of course, if you want to be pedantic, you can say so. I would think that they're racist. But hey, if they're not expressing their racism explicitly, we don't really know what they're thinking. I mean, we say that we have freedom of speech, but what about freedom of thought? If I'm secretly racist, but I do not ever express it, I still make friends with the people whom I'm racist towards, does that mean that I'm racist? To me, if you're asking for my personal opinion, I would say so, but I'm not sure, because we wouldn't know. I mean, well, I may think that they are personally racist, but I also think that people are free to have their freedom of thought, as long as they're not hurting anyone unnecessarily. But anyway, I digress. Back to the question. If I have a preference for a certain type of girl, or girls of certain race, does that mean that I'm racist? Well, if you ask me personally again, I personally, because I'm Malaysian maybe, I would prefer to date a Malaysian Chinese girl. And the reason for that is just because I'm a Malaysian Chinese. I think that in terms of culture, in terms of language, in terms of everything else, I think that dating a Malaysian girl would be most suitable for me. But hey, disclaimer here. Although I have a preference for Malaysian Chinese girls, it does not mean that I would only date Malaysian Chinese girls. In other words, my preference is not deterministic. I'm not letting this preference determine my future romantic relationships. It's not like even if one day I meet this girl in my life, I wouldn't date her because, you know, she's not Malaysian Chinese. No, it is not this way. It is a preference, but it is not deterministic. I mean, out of all the romantic relationships I've been in, oh wait, you know what? Out of that one romantic relationship that I've ever been in, it was a Korean girl. She's not Malaysian, she's not Chinese. I dated a Korean girl, and that just shows that although I have a preference for Malaysian Chinese girls, my selection of romantic partners is not limited to Malaysian Chinese girls. It's just a preference, you know? It's just kind of like, I would prefer Pepsi over Coke, but that doesn't mean that I would never drink Coke in my life. But hey people, seriously, drink Diet Coke and Diet Pepsi, don't ever drink the sugar stuff. Anyway, I digress again. Does having a preference mean that you necessarily discriminate people? And even if your preference does stem from discrimination, does it make you discriminatory or racist if you don't explicitly express that racism or discrimination? Because if that makes you racist or discriminatory, does it mean that we're limiting your freedom of thought? Because I personally think that people should have their freedom of thought, but I'm not sure. Of course, if we can, we have educators and teachers out there who try to change people who have irrational and just false mindsets. Well, of course, everyone's definition of irrational, false, or inappropriate are very different, but some people do have just weird thoughts, and I feel that sometimes we gotta change them. But if they keep them to themselves and they don't hurt anyone else, I mean, I'm really not sure. Honestly, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm inherently discriminatory. Like, personally, I hate generalizations and discrimination, but if I have a preference though, does it make me discriminatory in any way? People comment in the comment section. I would really want to hear what you are thinking. I'm really not sure if I'm right or wrong. Just let me know what you think. And that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell icon if you enjoyed the video, and comment in the comment section if you're interested. Feel free to check out FnK Concept on Lazada or Shopee for cool and affordable products. And until next time, I'm out.